Hello everyone again. So it's been a little bit since I've done a video. I just wanted to say Happy New Year. The New Year's almost here and time flies. Let me tell you, it goes by really, really quickly. So hang on to every precious moment that you have with yourselves and with others. Today's video is going to be about abundance and the abundance that surrounds us externally as well as internally. And this concept, idea, whatever you want to call it, came to mind because I was walking down the street earlier this morning and I noticed this beautiful shop. I mean, every article of clothing I looked through each piece. I was window shopping and I was just passing by, going to a destination, and I saw one article of clothing and I thought, I can wear that. And then I saw another one and I said, I can probably wear that at a Sunday brunch. And then I saw another one. I said, I can totally rock that. That's so me. I can wear this. And I started thinking in my head, a light bulb went off. And when is too much too much? And when is the level of abundance or having so much enough for us? And as I'm looking at this window, quickly passing by because I was going somewhere, a little bit in a rush, and I thought, okay, when are we satisfied? Because I can go into another store and find out another piece of clothing that I could wear. I can find another pair of shoes. I can find another outfit that I could wear on another day. And immediately I was hit with all my pieces of clothing. It sounds kind of silly, but I was immediately turned to my own articles of clothing and how some people might think it's a lot, but I think it's the right amount for me that I have. I mean, I reuse the same articles of clothing pretty much every season, and I really rarely buy. And when I do, I either do vintage or thrift shop or even Goodwill. But I thought of my own pieces of clothing, and it brought me so much joy. And there's so much meaning in those same articles of clothing that I've worn over and over again. And I thought, this is an interesting topic because we live in such a tremendous amount of abundance externally. And an interesting concept that I'm learning in class, I'm going to differentiate the two right here. So I'm taking a positive psychology course, and in this course, you're learning two key concepts. I'm very at the basic level, beginning of it. We have objective well-being, which is one form of happiness, and we have subjective well-being, which is another form of happiness. And let me explain the two. So, objective form of happiness is what we see on the outside. It's usually associated with income, health, occupation, status. And subjective well-being is focused on inside. It's when we can look at an individual in poverty and see that they're completely happy. These are things that we really cannot measure. They're things that don't make sense to us. Rationally, we see a lot of people, and this is on the other spectrum, we see people that are completely wealthy and loaded with abundance, but they are still very unhappy. So our society has constructed a world that looks at the objective well-being of humanity. Therefore, everything that we have, everything that we buy, everything that we see on the outside has somehow been associated with happiness. And granted, there are people that are very, very happy in their lifestyles, but when is it enough? And if we do have everything, will we ever feel happy? And the whole point of this video was to look at our subjective, our internal abundance. Our internal abundance, I believe, is mastering ourselves. It's mastering our emotions, how we feel, how we look at the world, how we function, how we think, how we treat others. This is what I believe about mastering ourselves. When we look at external things as a way to define us or bring some sort of happiness, we are essentially taking our own forms and our identities and our feelings into objects, into outside things that really have no meaning. I mean, it's going to sound silly, but when you buy your first car, it is a reward for something that you've done, right? But what happens when there's going to be a scratch on it? What happens? This car isn't going to give you affection, it isn't going to give you love. It may bring you happiness for a short amount of time, but we find out that this happiness is not long lasting, and eventually we're going to want something new and something higher, right? It's just the power of our species. And I really feel that the negative side of humanity and our society, it has capitalized on this external way of functioning, on this external way. I mean, you walk down the street and we are so spoiled here in America. We have sushi, we have Italian, I could go to yoga class in one area, and I'm telling you, I really, really appreciate it, and I'm so grateful for all of it. But when is enough? And I believe we all carry our own light source within us. I believe we all carry this unique, beautiful essence within us, and how we capture ourselves is what we're going to bring in from the world. So one thing that I like to go by, especially with a partner, significant other, is I'm not interested in a man that can conquer the world. I'm interested in a man that can master himself, that has mastered himself. And by mastering, I don't mean you get from one point to the other and you're done. Mastering is an evolutionary process within ourselves. We are constantly thrown in different atmospheres and environments and dynamics that we're always adapting and changing to that. So how can we really be abundant within? And the best way that I've found for me personally is just appreciating everything that you have. And the smallest thing for me is looking at a sunset. I mean, the moment that I started looking up at the sky and realizing how beautiful and magnificent the colors are on this planet, on the earth, that I just felt so connected with it, and I didn't feel so alone. We're in such a busy world where, especially in Los Angeles, people are very much into themselves and their careers, and granted, we kind of have to be to be successful here. We have to really push hard and do what we can to create our paths. And as soon as I looked up at the sunset, as soon as I really took a dive into my inner self, it made everything so much lighter and clearer. And we often forget about what's happening in the moment because our brains are going off, because we have so many distractions. We're texting, we're talking on the phone, and these kind of forms of communication are great, but it's all in moderation, right? Everything is in moderation. Everything is in balance. You can't have too much of this or too little of that. It's all about balance. And granted, there are ebbs and flows to life. There are ups and downs. And the best way that we could find abundance within is just dig deep and really appreciate. I haven't done these things. I take more mental notes, but when I was barely starting to become aware of the outside world, I remember reading some self-help book about write a list of things down that you appreciate, and I thought, how dumb. I was so negative back then. I was like, how dumb. I'm not going to write a list of things that I appreciate. But once you get into that rhythm, you realize there's so much inside of you and so much abundance. And I promise you, once that you find this centeredness, this sense of wholeness, this connection with the world instead of isolation, this connection with yourself more versus external things, there is an infinite amount of things that you feel like you can do. Even if people say you're crazy, you're not going to do it, there are an infinite amount of things that you can do. Don't listen to other people when they say you can't do it. You can do anything that you want. And yeah, abundance. I mean, society has found a way to, just really think about that. Society has found a way to capitalize on our immediate gratifications, on the pleasure that we seek. And curiosity is one thing. I think we're naturally curious by nature. We're curious when we are first put on this planet, because there's so many different sounds and tastes and feelings that we experience. But this just doesn't go away. It gets dulled down because of what's around us in society, but it doesn't go away. We are always curious in nature, and we always want to explore. And one of the things that I can really relate this to, of course, this is all trial and error and experience, a little bit of experience, but the idea of abundance. So I went on a little dating kick. Wasn't too long, wasn't many people. I would say 5 maybe the most. And I just broadened my circle, and I wanted to develop a deep connection with someone. And what I found is that during this short little dating wave that I have had, you just become so captivated by these people, because they are all unique in their truest form. They are all unique in every single way. One was a real estate agent. The other one, I mean, I can't remember, but an editor of some sort. And I find that there are so many options out there, especially in Los Angeles. And this is where I think it might be more prone to men, because men kind of, we're just programmed differently. Maybe they want a younger girl, they want a newer girl, they want, same thing with women, I'm sure. But what I found in my experience with dating was that there is an abundance of different men, an abundance of different qualities, but ultimately I wasn't happy. And I thought, wow, this guy is great and this guy is great, but what I was lacking between all them was the true connection. And this is true with what we have externally. I mean, we have so much around us, and so much stimuli, and so many things that we could purchase, that we lack the ability to have abundance within us. And this is the moral of the story. Just to really, I mean, once we could question what's happening on the outside and not go with the majority, then this is where we start waking up. When we see it's not that we can't get little pleasures out of what the majority are doing. We can, and this is a beautiful part of life, and this is how our society has been constructed for a reason, but it's been taken just at a ridiculous level, that this is how our society has evolved into consumerism. And interesting conversation that I had today, we were talking about with some friends traveling the world and where they would like to go. And one person said, I don't want to go to China. I mean, I just read an article on China and there's so much pollution and fog. And I said, well, we're the cause of that. We are consuming so much that we are essentially ruining another country and our planet. I mean, when there's any sort of separation or isolation, it's so easy to break those barriers of keep those barriers of self with another form, right? We can easily say, that's not my problem, that's not my issue. But the reality is, we are connected to China. We consume, and we are contributing to the pollution in the oceans and the air, killing of our own species, mind you, because of all these epidemic diseases. I mean, we just have to realize that the abundance is not external. If it were, we would not be in a state of pollution, in a state of immediate gratification. The most fulfilling things that we can get out of life are internally, and our rewards are going to be externally, either through our goals or fulfillment. It's just everything is in moderation. And the more that we can really realize that abundance is found within us, we completely shift our minds and our actions and our attitudes on ourselves versus the next thing that I can get, the next pleasurable food I'm going to taste in my mouth, the next boyfriend I'm going to get, the next girlfriend I'm going to meet. And the most gratifying thing is just coming into life with an open heart, not judgmental, just living in the experiences that you have with other people, however small, however large, however long it is. It's just enjoying the other person's company, enjoying the company of life. And if it ends up being an extended amount of time, then it will. If it's a short amount of time, you'll know, So finding abundance within, this is the video for today. What brings you happiness internally, and what brings you happiness externally? There's no right or wrong. There are things that are on the outside that make us very, very happy. So what is your input with that? And what is the biggest challenge that you've actually have gone through with getting rid of immediate gratification? For me, maybe 4 years ago, I was a little bit of a shopping addict, and I would walk out with bags, Forever 21, of course, nothing fancy, but bags of clothes with Forever 21 clothing, an array of outfits. I mean, maybe 15, 16 different outfits, and I realized that every time I would walk out, I'd have a sense of guilt because I just wasted so much money. But for me at the time, it was, ooh, how many different ways can I dress up this outfit? Or how many different ways can I look nice? Or how many different ways, blah, blah, the list can go on. And one of the biggest things is I've tried to break myself out of things that I thought made me happy. Another aspect for me, so I don't shop that much anymore, and when I do, it's usually things that I need, that are a necessity. Once in a while I'll buy things out of pleasure because I feel I've worked so hard for certain things, and I'll buy something out of a reward, but it's nothing excessive. And another thing that I find really, really challenging, especially being a woman, is let's just keep this on the sense of abundance and the abundance amount of makeup women put on. I'm wearing makeup here because I came with makeup, but I do makeup videos with no makeup as well. And I found that I was waking up in the morning and this was years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago, not liking my face without makeup. I mean, how crazy is that? I would just look in the mirror and always be used to seeing myself with makeup on. And this was the face that I grew used to. This was the face that I liked the most. And I thought, how ridiculous was this? That I couldn't even be comfortable with no makeup on whatsoever. So the challenge for me was I started wearing no makeup when I do errands, and when I would go out with a girlfriend that I was really comfortable with, and then all of a sudden, I didn't need to wear makeup. It's not a thing that I'm attached to. It's not a level of abundance, of excessiveness that I need. So it's really, really about breaking your barriers and really challenging yourself to something different and new. And once we adapt and grow used to something that we may question, we should really tap into ourselves and try something different, approach it differently. So this will be the video for the day. Thank you for listening. Have a happy, happy new year, and time goes by too quickly. Do everything that you want to do in life. Everything is stepping stones. Everything is small increments. We do not get from point A to point B overnight unless you win the lottery. Everything is determined by years and years of hard work and experience. So just remember that you have your power. You have the power to create anything that you want. You are your own life source. You are your own sense of abundance, and nothing externally can buy you that sense of fulfillment. I promise you. Okay? So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and comments are appreciated. Thanks. Bye.